Hey, Mark Rodriguez here, and with me is.
GB Chan, also known as Ninja Jupi, or you can call me Wendy. Hi, guys.
I'm Angelina.
And once again, coming in as a special guest for the Diving Cutter podcast, the one and only God of Thunder, the Lord of Rock and Roll, reigning and defending RCW American Champion, 1 year and counting, the icon of old school, Rikki Roxx. And that leaves the one, the only, the man of the hour, the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, the main attraction, Johnny
Johnny
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you guys for inviting me on.
That voice. Have I heard that voice somewhere before?
Have we talked before?
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Let's move on.
Okay. So, anyways, guys, this is kind of like a little revival because I don't really know how many things we could do about the turtles in general. We had an old podcast that Jupes was a member of and Johnny was a member of a couple episodes that was called the Heroes and a Halfcast, where we talked about the 2012 turtle cartoon as well as other turtle stuff going on. So now we're going to be talking about the TMNT 90s live action movie, the original movie from way back then, that actually had a theatrical re-release, limited edition, limited week, re-release in theaters. And most of us got to see it. And once we haven't, we could talk our memories and behind the scenes and stuff like that. Now, we did our review and we kind of went into details of like why Wendy and I, how we missed the movie in theaters the first time around. You guys want to help tell us your stories? Like, for example, Angelina, since you're, I guess, a new person here, did you get to see it in the theaters way back then, or did you like wait till VHS or something?
I never saw it in theaters because I was born the year after it came out. So,
Oh, oh,
yeah.
I see. Yeah. Oh goodness.
Yeah, that would explain that.
Yeah. But I did have it. We had it on VHS when I was little, so I did watch it a lot.
Mm. And well, Johnny, I got the same story as us. We just couldn't see at the time. It's expensive, poor city, and then we're kind of far for us to go to, and we have to wait for VHS. So pretty much, Johnny and I grew up together, so pretty much the same story. But what about you, Ricky? Did you get to see it in theaters?
I did actually. I did. It was fantastic. I remember, well, first of all, how I found out there was even going to be a movie. I'll never forget it. It was early morning. It was either a Sunday or maybe I stayed home from school that day, but I was watching probably Nickelodeon,
Oh wow.
and all of a sudden there was a commercial, and you could probably find on YouTube the original television commercial for the movie, but I remember seeing it, and I remember just seeing the turtles in live action moving around and talking. I was blown away. I couldn't figure out, like, I knew it had to be some kind of costume or something, but I'd never seen anything so sophisticated or advanced before, even in just those little clips that you saw in that commercial. And I ran upstairs. My dad was sleeping. I woke him up all excited to tell him that they were doing a Ninja Turtles movie and it looked so real and everything. And I'm sure he probably didn't care that much in that moment, but oh man, I was so excited. And I knew I had to go. I knew I couldn't miss it. It was, aside from Batman, it was the movie I looked forward to the most in that area of time. So then I remember, I don't think my parents really wanted to take me. I think my sister and my cousin ended up taking me because they spent a lot of time over at our house, especially in the summer. Yeah, so if it was in the summertime, they would have taken me to get me out of the house to give my parents some time alone. And yeah, I remember they were kind of about going, but the movie won them over, like it does most people when they give it a chance. And I was just blown away. I couldn't believe how incredible it was, even though I was a little confused at some things, because, like, obviously some parts of it were more like the original comic books than the cartoons that I was watching, that we all were watching. But yeah, it was, I just kind of shrugged and went along with it. Because as a He-Man fan growing up, you got used to very quickly the idea that there was a lot of different canon a lot of different conflicting stories. So I just kind of rolled with it, took the movie as it was, and I thought it was so brilliant. And even my sister and my cousin thought it was great. And the soundtrack, it was kind of like the kind of stuff they listened to with the techno pop and stuff like that. So a little something for everybody. But yeah, it was an amazing experience. And to this day, I still think it is, and I think it will remain the best Turtles movie because I don't see how you do any better. But yeah, great experience. And like you guys said with the videotape, that was one of the first videotapes I ended up owning as a kid because people don't have any idea now. Back then, VHS tapes were really expensive. They were like $70 to $100 on average.
Yeah, I would have to. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but yeah, that's why. Yeah, we used to kind of copy some of those tapes. We used to rent them from the video store. Had the two VCRs set up. You played through one and record through the other.
Yeah, I think I remember when my dad brought home our VCR, the first videotape he had gotten us, he brought home with the VCR was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And the second commercial videotape I owned was Ninja Turtles. Everything else I taped off the TV. But yeah, Ninja Turtles was the second tape I had, and I wore that thing out. And then I had the 4 Burger King tapes. You guys remember the 4 April Foolish and Sky Turtles, the Great Boldini, and oh man. Yeah. But yeah, they had those 4 episode tapes you could get at Burger King. That was a lot of fun. I wore those out too. For a really good afternoon, I would just put all of that on back to back. I'd put on like the movie, then just those 4 episodes of the cartoon.
Oh wow.
That'd be a good weekend.
Angelina, what was your like whenever you did get to see the movie, what was your first impressions when you saw it like the first time, and like was it VHS or on TV or?
It was VHS. I don't really remember because I was so young, but the first time I do remember it, I just remember loving it because, I mean, we watched the cartoon and I never read any, like, if there were comics, I never read them, but it was just so awesome to me. Like, I was like, oh my God, because, like, it was a cartoon, so, and then you were seeing it on TV, and I just remember being so young, I had never seen anything like that you saw on a cartoon as like real in real, like they were real. I was like, oh my God. And I was so young. So I was like, oh, are they real? And my brothers, they had me thinking they were real. And I was like, but obviously now I know.
You could almost believe it because that's like, I was used to seeing stuff from the Henson shop by then. So I grew up on Fraggles and stuff like that and the Muppets, but I was like, oh my God, that's beyond anything that's ever been done before. How did they do that? And obviously we know now it wasn't easy is the answer. But yeah, you could almost believe they were real just because even seeing it again, I hadn't watched it in a while, even though I have it on the original release DVD. I still watch it from time to time, but I hadn't seen it in a while. So seeing it at the theater last weekend really just still blows me away with the movement they were able to get and even knowing how they did some of it. It's so amazing to see it. Yeah, I was like 7. Yeah, so that was amazing to me. Like I'm always a big behind the scenes guy with movies anyway. So seeing something that advanced, they definitely did a lot with what they had. Definitely. I mean, I'm always for practical effects over the CGI nonsense. So I'm on record. You guys all know me. I hate the new movies. I can't stand them. To me, I don't think anything's ever going to get better than that first one, man.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, you have to. It's a. Yeah, I remember when they were doing a preview for the 2014 stuff, those films, and I was like, I'd rather have actors in suits. I just preferred it. And it's like like I said, I thought the Teenage Mutant Ninja, what are they called, skyscrapers? I mean, they were ugly, they were big and bulky, and I just didn't like it. I didn't like their designs at all.
Yeah. Johnny, your thoughts when you first saw the movie back in it, if you still remember, like those first times and
it was a culture shock in many ways because I grew up watching cartoons, yes, I did have some knowledge that the comic books were more like, I don't know, a little bit more on the gory side of things. So when I saw the
Or
movie, I'm like, okay, this is the route they're going with. Like it's more serious. It's more like it's kind of weird because even as a kid, you notice that okay, this movie feels more like for grown-ups in certain aspects. Like of course, like you still enjoy the movie. It's so action-packed. It still has comedy. It's so great to see the turtles in theaters and to see how realistic the Ninja Turtles looked because they did look very realistic. Like they really did a good job with that. Considering that they didn't have no CGI crap back in the day, which I also prefer that over CGI. But yeah, I was like, damn, this movie's more violent. It's more gory. Shredder looks like the kind of guy you don't want to mess with.
An actual
Like nothing compared to the cartoons. And yeah, there was blood and people getting it's like it was violent. It was a violent movie, but it was still a very enjoyable experience. And going back on the whole like how expensive I guess VHS tapes were back in the day. I remember that we would be renting that movie a lot. Like I think on a weekly basis, we would rent that movie in our local video store just to watch it. And then once we had money to own the movie, it's like okay, we finally got the movie like for good,
Yeah, well, it was like
But it was a good experience overall.
I think I got my copy as part of like some kind of like a lot of places, like I think Pizza Hut might have done it. Some places were doing like a promotion where like you can get the videotape at a discount with like a special deal or something like that. But even sometimes video stores would have like a special sale and they'd have certain movies for like $25 or whatever. So I know it had to be something like that because we weren't made of money, but I remember my dad coming home with that tape and just, oh man, we wore that out. And I know I couldn't have been the only one, brother. Me and my buddies, we had our nunchucks and our toy swords and our bandanas. I actually had the role play sets that came with the knee pads and the masks and the weapons and all that. I had all that shit, man. And yeah, we used to play along with the movie and all that. Great times, man. Just stuff kids do or used to do. I don't know if they still do anymore, but that's what we used to do back then.
I think now they're on their phones all day.
Yeah, well, we used to dress up like Ninja Turtles and do jumping flip kicks off the back of the couch. So I think we probably were smarter than them.
Much to the dismay of my aunt, I'm sure, with my two younger cousins, those boys.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, as kids, we were like huge Ninja Turtle fans. So for us, it was like torture because we knew the movie was out and we just couldn't afford it, and we just knew that we're just not gonna go see it. And it was like the commercials and the people at school that did see it were talking about how awesome it is, and it was just. We bought the comic book adaptation, we bought the novelization, like as close as we could get, but until finally, like it's out on VHS, you know what I mean? But
I'm just so you know, people, back in those days, it took like half a year or to a year before things got home releases.
Oh yeah, it took forever. That was the waiting was the hardest part, like Tom Petty would say. What's weird about me though is that like even though I have it on multiple formats, like if I'm channel surfing and it's on TV or whatever, that's one of those movies you just say, okay, this is what's going on. It doesn't matter that area. I can watch it anytime I want. If it's on, I'll watch it. I can't say that about the second one or the third one though. But actually, I'll say this: the first one's the only one of the trilogy that I saw in theaters as a kid. I saw 2 and 3 on video.
What do you want to say, guys? Kind of question for everyone. That since you all grew up in the cartoon, what do you think of the slightly more serious tone? It was a good mixture because the turtles themselves were still,
Oh, what?
Oh, the turtles themselves were still with the pizza, the cowabunga, radical, silly, goofy, whatever. But the bad guys were more serious and more intense. So, what do you guys think of like Shredder being like a more scarier looking threat? He's treated with respect. Everyone's all bowing to him, and Tatsu's like doing the thing with the, like it's like a person to respect and all that. And also, Raphael getting beaten half to death and stuff, and have to escape. Like, what did you guys think about like those particular scenes?
Well, before we get into that, can I give my story as to how I first saw the movie? Because we never.
I thought we didn't do that in the review. That's what I'm trying to.
Not really.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead.
Well, I guess in my case with the movie, I didn't see it in the theaters. My mother didn't take me. My dad, I knew one would take me.
Cut.
Pretty much. So they were going to take me, and I didn't really think about it till later. Then we saw it on video, and I believe, if I remember right, my cousins had it. So that was my way of watching the movie. And going into your other thing, and the other movie I really did want to see, like you mentioned, was the Batman movie. I really wanted to see that in theaters, but my mother would not let me see it. Because of one scene, because her and my aunt went to see it first before me and my younger cousin could see it. You know, to make sure the movie was appropriate for children. They went to see the movie. The deal breaker was the hand buzzer scene. That was the deal breaker for that movie for us. And we couldn't see that till it got on tape. And Ninja Turtles, I didn't see it until tape. But to go with what you were saying about how I felt about the tone, I thought it was pretty cool. And the fact that it had its differences from the cartoon, it didn't really factor in with my enjoyment of it. And I thought it was really, really cool. I didn't think twice about it. I was like, oh, there's another take on the Turtles. But I didn't know about the comics at the time either. Even though if you watch the cartoon, it says in the credits, but who paid attention to the credits? Based on Mirage Comics and all that other stuff. So yeah, I thought it was well done. I thought the movie had a very good balance too. It had its serious moments, but it had its comedic stuff as well. So I thought the movie was a very good one. And I have to agree with Rikki Roxx out of the original trilogy. And pretty much all Turtle films after that, I haven't seen the later stuff, and I have no interest in it whatsoever. But the first movie I still say is the best out of the ones I've seen of all the Turtle movies that have ever come out. I mean, it had the seriousness, it had the good balance, it had practical effects, and I always appreciate practical effects. They had real people fighting in the suits. I just think it was a good movie. But yeah, I didn't think twice about it, but I was amazed when I saw the costumes of the turtles and stuff. Cause even I was thinking, wow, how did they make it look so real? And no, I didn't think until, find out the behind the scenes stuff as mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so since Angelina's like our guest in this one, what do you think of that? Like, like how they beat Raphael half to death there, sure it's dangerous and that kind of stuff.
For sure. When I was little, I was like, that's scary. Like I thought it was scary because I was young, but I still enjoyed it. I loved it, and me and my brothers lived for it. But I still enjoyed it. Thought it was scary, and I really liked their costumes, like the suits. Like as I said earlier, like I thought they were real, but I liked the tone and how like it was a little more serious than the TV show and the cartoons.
Johnny, what do you think of the?
Yeah, what was the question again? Because my internet was a little down for.
I was saying because as a kid back then, the turtle. You remember the turtle cartoon and the tone. What do you think of like how Shredder was more dangerous, and then how Raphael was almost like beat to death and all that, and he was like out for a chunk of the movie, like recovering he was like in a coma pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I kind of said it a little bit in the beginning that there is just a big difference compared to the cartoon. Like the movie definitely did felt more adult themed. It was more violence. Raphael got beaten the crap out of. Splinter's ear got sliced off really bad, and you see the blood and everything. And another thing that made the movie more adult themed in certain ways. It's the fact that I forgot the name of the young guy that was joining the Foot Clan.
Danny Pennington.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like more like an adult situation kind of thing because it's actually showing somebody that is a teenager, supposed to be going to school, getting good grades, not supposed to be going to the Foot Clan, trying to beat in the Foot Clan, going to the wrong path in life. So, that was kind of
Realistic.
eye-opening, because in the cartoons you just see the foot soldiers as the foot soldiers. That's it. You don't see the behind the scenes. You don't see the whole like, oh, just recruit people to become a Foot Clan member kind of situation.
Yeah, it was a lot more grounded. I'll say this. That movie was one of the most impactful movies, sincerely. The first Ninja Turtles movie was one of the most impactful movies of my childhood, along with the Ghostbusters movies, Master of the Universe, and the original Superman and Batman movies. Ninja Turtles was like one of the most important movies to me as a kid for a lot of reasons. Number one, because I was a huge fan at that time of the property. I knew there were comic books, but I actually hadn't read the Mirage ones. I read the Archie ones. So when people said the comic books, I thought that's what they meant because that's what I had. Then I found out there was this whole other comic book. But I watched the show every day religiously. It was on every day after school. Like, it was usually on for an hour or two, depending on where you lived, because they'd have blocks of it in syndication. Like, I live in the Northeast, so on like Channel 11, they'd have 2 episodes back to back at like 3 o'clock and 3:30, and then you'd put on Philadelphia.
Wait, you said 3 o'clock or 3:30? Well, for here it was more like 5 or so.
Well, yeah, it depended on where you lived.
I know,
Like,
I know, because it was syndicated. Yeah.
yeah, I would go right from watching WPIX 11. They'd run their block in Ninja Turtles, and then on Philly 57, which was Channel 22 where we lived, it was the Philadelphia affiliate, and then we would get at 4 and 4:30 another hour in Ninja Turtles. So, depending on where you lived, it came on different times, and they'd have different episodes. So I saw all the reruns 100 times by then, and then the Saturday morning show came out, which was a little weird because it was a little different from the syndicated show, but it was still kind of cool.
Real Ghostbusters had the same treatment.
Yeah, they had the same thing where the Saturday show was just a little bit different than the one you watched on afternoon weekdays, but it was still the same, but it was a lot of subtle. But then, so the movie came out, and it came out at a really weird time for me because I was like 7 going on 8. I was reading more sophisticated stuff than a lot of kids. I was reading the Batman comics of the time, which were pretty dark because it was right after the Joker killed Robin and things were really grim and serious. I was reading a lot of that, and a lot of the Superman comics were taking on more serious themes. And so as a kid, I was getting into more sophisticated material. So I still liked the Ninja Turtles cartoon. Going back to it now for me is hard, but I could still watch for a little while. But the movie came along at a perfect time because it was a more grounded and intense and grown-up version of this thing that I already liked, right? So it felt like the property was growing up alongside me. Because now I was about to be like a preteen, and they had this version of Ninja Turtles that was a little more aged up. They cursed, there was blood, there were innuendos being thrown around, and it just really was impactful. And it felt as though the franchise was going to be like that. We know better now, but it felt like it was going to be something that would do its best to attract different audiences so that you wouldn't necessarily have to grow out of it. Like, there would be the material for the kids, like the cartoons and some of the comics, and they'd have comics for like the older kids and the teenagers, and they'd have movies for the teenagers and the adults, and the video games were for everyone. They really, in my opinion, got away from that in more recent years, and I think that's been their biggest mistake because they only really care about the young kids. And as we've seen, the young kids don't really care. They don't stick around, right? Not like we did.
Yeah.
Like, we're 35 years later, we're still talking about this stuff. They won't be, right? We see how everything to these kids nowadays is disposable. They get into something for like a year or two, and then it's on to the next thing. I don't think 35 years from now they're going to be sitting around doing TikTok videos about a mutant mayhem. Call me crazy. I don't think they're going to be doing it.
Wait, is that
But
the one with the big April or something? Is that
the newer one.
April?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty.
That is to date the newest version. We don't know later on what other things might come out 5 years from now or whatever. But
I'll say this, man. It really extended my fandom of the franchise big time, because if that movie hadn't come out along with some of its other contemporary material that felt a little bit more grounded and aged up, I might not have stuck around with the brand for as long as I did, because there were times, and even especially nowadays, where some of the material is like really juvenile, and it's fine if you have that sometimes, but I feel like balance is best, and there used to be a much better balance. And I might not have stayed a fan of Ninja Turtles as long as I did without that movie. That movie really became the primary lens through which I viewed the entire franchise. And from then on to this day, whenever I think about Ninja Turtles, or when I would write or draw or whatever, my immediate inspiration is always the movie, the first movie. That's how I see Ninja Turtles in my head now, forever. And there's no getting around that. That's how important that movie was. That's the impact it made on me when it came out. It completely changed the way I looked at the brand, and it definitely made me stay a fan longer than I otherwise would have. If it was just the cartoons and stuff, I don't know if I would have really stayed that interested.
yeah, that was the thing. Even back then, as we were starting to get a little older, we were noticing that the turtles, it's mostly martial artists or ninjas and whatever, and you're noticing, wait, they seem to be doing more of the actual martial arts and backflip stuff in the movies and in the video games and whatever than they do in the actual cartoon show. You know what I mean? And the thing is, I think that later on we started getting the Batman animated series and X-Men cartoon and all those. You kind of notice that a lot more action packed than the turtles that are still just throwing pizzas and doing the puns and the jokes.
But to be fair, I think what messed up the original cartoon was the fact that they did put it on Saturday mornings, because they have more strict, their rules and guidelines were a little bit more strict, so they had to tone it down a bit more compared to the other. I mean, the show was always a little goofy, but it got goofier because he had to put it on Saturday mornings.
Yeah, I noticed. Even then, I noticed that the Saturday morning episodes were a little different, because the weekday episodes could get a little weird and a little darker, and the Saturday ones had a lot more jokes, and they were a lot more punny, and they were sillier. Like, the intro was pretty cool for the Saturday morning show, but I thought the episodes were a little bit lacking a lot of the time. Like, to this day, everybody knows, my flavor of comedy is a little more dry, depending. I'm a big Monty Python guy too, so I'm all over the place. But especially with something like Ninja Turtles, where they show you something with the first movie where you see how it can be tonally, and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I like. Give me some more of that. And then you see the other side of it, where it's so lighthearted, and it almost becomes discouraging, because it's it almost feels like a rejection of your want for this other thing, But yeah, I definitely noticed, like you did, Wendy, the Saturday morning episodes, because of the restrictions they probably had, I imagine, and the fact exposed to a wider, a broader lens, because it had to be on right next to Garfield and all that stuff. Yeah, that probably had a lot to do with it.
You read Playhouse.
I felt the change when they went to Saturday mornings later on. I definitely felt that change.
So we can go into maybe favorite scenes. We'll start with our guests here. Angelina, what's your favorite scene in the movie? If you remember any parts and stuff? I'm sure you've seen it multiple times throughout your life, not just that one time, I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, of course. As a young girl, obviously, my favorite scene was when they kissed at the end. But other than that, I don't. I never really thought about my favorite scene other than that scene. I would say the introduction of Casey, because I just really loved him as a kid, as a girl. I mean, come on, like who wouldn't? But just like, you know, him coming in on, and like I just obviously swooned over him as a young girl. I mean, even as an adult, like I just watched it today with my husband, and I was just sitting there like, yeah, still runs true. He's still good looking.
Well, in the movie, at least, it's unfortunate what happened to him in real life. He looks like Mr. Futterman from Gremlins now.
Oh,
I don't even know what he looks like anymore.
I'm just saying, yeah, he looks just like that. You know, it's sad.
With the hair, and he had the hair and like the moves, and it is
but
just.
I'll agree with you. In the movie, he looked great.
Oh my gosh. I have to agree with Angelina there, because that was my favorite scene of the movie when he first debuted. You know, my name's Casey Jones. You're the class, you know, the Class of Pain 101 thing. You know, that whole scene. It was just so cool. But I wish something that was cut out the movie, we found out was that, you know, him actually watching the news was laying up to that scene. I wish they could have kept that in there.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, as a kid, I definitely want to come back to this. As a kid, I had the comic book adaptation of the movie, and I had the novelization. We'll talk about that again. But I remember the novel reading and being confused because they described the whole scene of Casey in his apartment watching TV, getting more and more angry, and then he looks at his hockey mask, and next thing you know, they transition to the scene in the park. And then I was upset it wasn't in the movie because it's just like such a cool way to introduce the character. I do like the way that they cold opened him, just jumping into the middle of the fight. That works as well. But you know, when it comes to movies, it's rare that I want to see less. I usually want to see more. And that scene, especially having seen it on the big screen at this new anniversary showing, I really wish there was like an integrated cut that put that part back in, because it definitely would work. But yeah, that is definitely a great scene. It's a very well written scene. The dialogue and the choreography, yeah, it's definitely a great way to just introduce the character. I would have liked the other way as well, but it works what they did. I'm just sad because, you know, it was an atmospheric bit and it worked well. But yeah, I definitely think that was good, you guys.
Yeah,
definitely good pick. It's so
for
much
me,
fun.
like, yeah, for me, it's too many scenes to choose, but I mean, I like Shredder's introduction with him walking down and like just music sounds all serious and all that stuff. That whole scene with him. I like the opening Foot Clan hideout scene with the games and people smoking and stuff. And of course, they're big into video arcades, right? It's a Mark arcade, you know, they're playing games.
Like, as an adult, and seeing that scene with Narc, there's an ironic. When you think about it, they have Narc in there, and they're a bunch of criminals. I mean, they're doing criminal activities, but they have Narc.
You're busted.
I was just playing that like a year or two ago on my Midway Arcade Collection disc. I was playing Narc. That's still an awesome game.
Mm-hmm.
I've never played it outside of an arcade, so
yeah, and of course I like the turtles goofing around and the piece of stuff and the fight with the Shredder at the end when things got serious. I like that they're beating them up and stuff. They're like, whoa, like exactly when did we start losing control here?
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Maybe someone should tell them that we're the good guys, you know, because it's like they're getting their asses kicked and that kind of stuff.
Scene, definitely the rooftop scene is one of the best for sure. You know, other than as a Leo fan, seeing his initial attack was painful because I can't think of any iteration of Leo whose main strategy would just be, yeah, like, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of out of character for a person like him. But unless he's going off of emotion.
But he was just joking around. They're like, you know, why don't you go next? Thank you. It's like he didn't even try. Now,
Well,
is
I will say this. The movie did have its goofy point, slightly goofy points. Like, okay, this is definitely cartoon stuff. And one of the ones I can think of when Casey kind of used the cricket bat to hit Raph and knock him into the wastebasket or whatever. It's like, that started one of cartoon stuff right there. The physics don't add up here. Oh, when he used a golf club on Tatsu.
definitely hurt though.
Oh yeah, I'm not denying that one.
But once you flying 10 feet in the air, though.
And same with what's the name using the golf swing on Tatsu.
Oh yeah, Johnny, what was your favorite scene if you had one? What were some of your favorite moments?
So overall, I like the whole movie in its entirety, and I feel like whoever's the cameraman, whoever's in charge of the filming, did a really great job because the whole movie looks so. From what I remember, the movie looks very. It has like a very artistic view to it, almost like it looks very. It has like a very cinematic feel to it, and very dark too. Like it was. Most of the scenes were shot in, I guess, I don't know if it was actually shot in New York, but the movie's based in New York, right? It looks like it's shot at night, like it's really dark. Like the whole movie's very dark. But in terms of my favorite scene, I think one of my most favorite scenes is probably the final scene of the movie where they actually defeated the Shredder. That was quite impactful right there.
Here's a good question for Johnny, though. What do you think so many years later that you actually got to meet and talk to Judith Hogue?
Oh my God, man, that was so freaking awesome. And she's the kind of person that you could spend hours talking. Like, that's how cool she is. She's very cool. She's very chill. She's very laid back. She didn't get the whole, I guess, celebrity-ishness get into her head. So she's very cool. She was a fun person to talk to. And she was very patient.
Remember she recommended for you to try the what was it, the Fortetto Brothers subs and all that?
Yeah, what's the name of that place?
I think it's Fortetto's Brothers, something like that.
It can't be gone that long.
Yeah, but that name was always such a weird name. But they sell like giant coleslaw stuff, like subs, like sandwiches, I should say. Yeah,
it's supposed to be like Pittsburgh's local sandwich shop, I believe.
Yeah, in our area, and in Pennsylvania in general, because we went to Pittsburgh. You got that in Pittsburgh too. But now every time we eat those, we always joke and say, "Hey, April, you approved." I mean, she told us to get them, and all that.
Johnny, when did you meet her?
What year was that?
A couple of years ago, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, I would say.
20. I want to say either 2021 or 2022.
That's awesome.
And she was taking her time talking to everyone because we were like in line and the line wasn't moving. Sometimes they gotta, the celebrities take breaks or whatever. Something, is she even there? Are they waiting for her? So I go ahead and see, and she stood there talking to the fans. She took their time talking to everyone, giving them a good time and everything.
That's always cool. That's how it is when you meet Shane Douglas. So, you got to be careful what you ask him when you meet him, because if you ask him what time it is, he'll probably start telling you who built the first watch and then how to make a watch, and it just goes on. He's a great guy to talk to. Those are great interviews to have. I mean,
and I like how Judith actually acted all flattered that Johnny flew all the way from Vegas just to meet her in Pennsylvania.
That's awesome. That's more than I would do. Holy shit! But that's cool though. See, I would have
the best experience in my entire lifetime, if I'm being quite honest. Because come on, April O'Neil, come on, freaking April O'Neil in person.
I mean, seeing the movie in theaters.
But you get what I'm saying.
Seeing the movie in theaters again, the whole farmhouse scene, seeing it on a big screen definitely made me appreciate that she wore that red tank top. Oh man, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, with her Jennifer Aniston's sticking in.
That popped me, brother. Whoa, unbelievable! I wasn't ready for that. Woo. That was a
But
good
you know
one.
about the newer Turtle movie? I actually hate the fact that they had Megan Fox in it because we already know that Megan Fox, everybody's going to be talking about her. Everybody's going to be,
You can't act.
you know,
Yeah, that was
what
unfortunate. That was a case where if they didn't have her in it, they weren't going to be able to make the movie because just the way
Yeah, but
movie.
what bugged me the most is that they actually grabbed Judith Hogue to cameo and have a scene with Megan Fox and whatever, and they cut the scene. So like,
What's the point?
I know.
now that's
Those-
another thing I got to say too. I know that that's one thing I like about the Turtle movie. I personally feel that, how do you pronounce her name again?
Judith Hogue.
Judith Hogue. She actually, in a way, looks a lot like April O'Neil in certain ways.
Works for me.
But it's out.
Like she
Like,
gave her
she had
respect
more
to
of
the
the.
character.
There was, I mean, she had more of that New
At least compared to
Yorker
Megan Fox.
attitude and vibe and take no bullshit kind of attitude. I feel that I think Paige Turco in the sequel, I mean, she tried, but she just seemed like a much nicer April.
I
You
like.
know,
I like.
Judith was more
I like
fiery.
Serena.
I liked
Yeah,
both
that's-
of them, but I definitely was less than thrilled when they replaced Judith Hogue. I mean, when I heard the reasons why, it was kind of like, well, the hell with her. Because, like, complaining about the violence, the work days I get. Like, supposedly she didn't like the 6-day-a-week work schedule, and that's valid. That's a valid complaint, you know? On every Ninja Turtle movie that's ever been made, people complained about how backbreaking the schedule was. So I get that. Even listening to, what's his name? The guy who plays Jack Reacher. Alan Ritchson or whatever.
Mm.
He was Raphael in the Michael Bay movies, and hearing him talk about what they went through making that movie was excruciating. Like, he hated every minute of it. And and then they promised it would be better for the sequel, and it was worse. And they'd be filming for 10 hours, and then they'd get stuck at the set without a ride back to the hotel, and shit like that would happen, like, all the time. Not getting meal breaks, and they were supposed to be doing all this publicity stuff and getting paid for that, and none of that shit happened. So, like, the whole point of the original of casting these guys and doing the CGI on the Michael Bay movies, the point was that, they had recognizable faces so they could go out and do publicity, and it would be a big thing. And then they just didn't do that. So everything about the production of those movies was a terrible mess. And those movies subsequently are an abomination and a plague upon mankind. Should have never happened. Both of them eat shit. They're shit from an ass. And that's just the opinion I have, and I'll stay with that opinion. Thank you very much. But yeah, really big fan of the original movie.
Mr. Rox, tell us how you really feel.
I think I just did.
I only watched the Michael Bay Turtle movie just because it was for free on one of the streaming services they have. I forgot which one it was that I watched it on.
I wouldn't watch that on a bet.
I don't know if it was on Tubi or if it was on, I forgot the name of that other app where they put free, like, Pluto TV, one of those apps. That's the only reason I watched it. I watched it out of curiosity. I already knew that the movie sucked.
You must have watched it on Pluto, because you'd have to be goofy to sit through that shit. Bang! Ha ha!
I've never seen it, so
Oh, Angelina, you said you've never seen the 2014 film.
Michael Bay.
No. I guess it's safe to say don't watch it.
Yeah, right. Yes.
I tried. I really did try. I couldn't get through it. I was just so. I felt like I was losing brain cells.
I mean, the second one was a tad better because at least Bebop and Rocksteady were portrayed okay, and of course I was WWE at the time, so I got a kick out of the fact that Sheamus was Rocksteady and all that. But I mean, yep.
I think CM Punk for that. AC Jones and
Fox seriously as April O'Neil. Like, I don't see I don't know. She's just not it.
nah. The problem is the way movies are made now. They have to have a star to anchor the thing, or else the thing doesn't get made. Especially something like Ninja Turtles, it's going to cost $250 million to make because they do all the special effects and crap. So that was seriously it. Like they had to cast her first and then make the movie. Otherwise, there was no movie. So it's horrible that that's just the way Hollywood works now for some god awful reason. And it was so different back then, 35 years ago, where you could just, I mean, there was pressure to do that. Definitely, there was pressure to have something famous or somebody famous attached to this movie back in the 80s when they were in pre-production. But it was a total independent movie. A lot of people forget that too. It was the highest grossing independent movie ever made until the Blair Witch Project. So
I saw that in the movies.
yeah, I saw that in the movies too. It was mixed feelings, but yeah, Ninja Turtles was definitely a game changer, and a lot of people forget it was an independent film, independently made, financed, produced, everything. Unfortunately, the studio took Final Cut away from the director, and that's why a lot of the fight scenes have the cheesy music and sound effects plugged in, and things like that. Whereas the director, I think, has said in the original cut, it would have been totally different. Like the scene would have kind of played out the same, but the music would have been a lot more hardcore, and the sound effects wouldn't have been there for sure. Like all the boink doink Looney Tunes stuff wouldn't have happened.
Not as much for this movie, but you know, it was kind of overrun in the second one.
I felt like they were doing it. I didn't know about that, Rikki Roxx, because I thought that the reason why they were kind of doing it all cartoony with the music and the sounds is because they kind of wanted to base it off a little bit on the cartoons because that's
Studio wanted more of that, but that the director was trying to keep it totally to the comic books. Like, if I recall correctly, he might have even wanted there to be like some kind of punk rock scene, the music in those fight scenes instead, like something aggressive and something more befitting. Yeah, but the studio, when they literally locked him out of the edit and they took it upon themselves to finish the movie. They didn't even end up finishing filming, which a lot of people don't know. But if you saw the anniversary in theaters, the anniversary version, you saw the preview, the behind the scenes preview with the deleted scenes, and you hear the director say that they literally didn't finish filming the movie. And there's like 16 pages of stuff they didn't get around to filming, which I'll talk about more. But
that was in the novelization, though, right?
Yeah, a lot of stuff was in the novelization and in the Archie comic version.
Yeah,
Like the
but
scene of Casey Jones changing the channel, and each channel was like crime, and that got him angry and angrier. That was in both the comic and the novelization.
Yeah, a lot of things were more expanded upon. I figure I might as well, just since we're talking about that.
Yeah, we'll tell you about the deleted scenes. Now, the one I do know
I dug this. Hold on, real quick. I dug this out special just for tonight. Here's something that I don't think any of you have. You might think you do, but I know you don't. Check it out. So I've had this since the beginning. Right here. This is the novelization of the movie.
Yeah,
right here.
We had that. I mean, it got lost in Chicago somewhere, but we had that.
Well, there's a little bit more to it than just that. See, not only do I have this, and yes, it does go into many, many things that were not in the final cut of the movie, but what you guys never had, I bet, is my copy was actually autographed by Raphael and Mikey.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, they were at some kind of sporting goods store opening. My brother took me.
Wow.
They were kind of fuzzy. I don't just really them. Something tells me they were guys in suits. But either way, so I have an autographed copy of the movie adaptation novelization. So I bet almost none of you have that. Whoops, it just fell over.
And that's the thing. I'm surprised because I know we had all this junk we had to move when we left Chicago back in the day, but I'm surprised that didn't make it. Yeah, I'm sure that's the kind of book I'd put in somewhere, but yeah.
Sure, you can find a new copy cheap enough on eBay. If I do, I'll send you one.
But it won't have the nostalgia
value. It won't be the same, you know.
It would be the one that we bought, you know.
I loved reading it as a kid because reading those extra scenes that weren't in the movie, like it really made me feel like
Solograph.
Oh, there you go.
And then I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah, clear as day, brother. That is awesome. That is
So
awesome.
that Judith Holt signed at the convention.
Yeah, Steel City Con.
Steel City Con, yes.
9.95, brother. That's awesome right
Put it
there.
away 'cause I don't want to drop it or anything, so I'm gonna put it away.
That's awesome, man. Take good care of that. That's an awesome piece. Yeah, I remember reading those deleted scenes in the book, and it made me feel like I knew stuff most people didn't know. Like you watched the movie, but then here's what really happened, you know? Like when they don't kill the turtles in the junk shop scene, when the turtles get away and then they go back to the foot hideout and Tatsu is all pissed off and he beats the shit out of that kid. Oh, he kills him in the novel and comic book. He beats that kid to death. And that's one of the ways the studio changed the movie is they're like, no, that's too dark. So, but you could tell what they did when they cut away from the kid. Now, he's clearly on the ground. He's not moving. He's not breathing. He's got blood coming out his mouth. But then when they cut away, you hear like, somebody's like, you'll be all right. That was a studio edit because in the script and in the novel and in the comic book, Tatsu just beats that kid to death. And that's why all the other kids.
When they take the Foot Clan mask off of, you don't even see the dude breathing for that short scene.
Yeah, and also too the reaction of all the other actors in the scene. You can tell that it's more serious than what they're trying to portray it as. Especially Tatsu's reaction, and when he leaves, like he's like, "Yeah, I kind of screwed this up." Yeah, his reaction to it.
I can see parachutes. He's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the many things the studio did. Now, I didn't actually get into my my favorite scenes. Now, as a kid, what happened?
What did he did?
Oh well, because he would appreciate this one the most.
Oh, he's still here.
I can hear you.
Because I was gonna say, as a kid, I know my favorite scene, I would say, would be Bubblegum Girl.
Huh? Oh, the girl blowing big butt in the
hideout. What happened to all the female clan members?
Seeing it again, I might still say that. I mean, I don't know. God damn, there's just something about that. But anyway, my favorite scene was probably one they didn't get to film. And it's in the novel and it's in the comic book and it's even in some of the storybooks that came out around the same time as the movie. Like they came out with these weird books for little kids where it was based on the movie, but it was drawn like the cartoon show. You probably seen it.
Well, that's weird. There were two of them.
I remember that one.
Yeah, well, there were two of them. The weird thing is one book was kind of going for the movie look, but the other one was flat out like the 80s cartoon Turtles and Shredder and all them.
Yeah. I love that book.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. So there's this scene where you only see like 5 seconds of it in the actual movie because I'm pretty sure they didn't finish filming it. But there's a scene where they're in the field training and Leo decides to turn his mask around and go like all zen and he fights all of them off as they attack him and he's blindfolded, right? So
he kept tapping Raph on the shoulder until Raph would finally get pissed off enough and then all the trolls would gang up on Leo, but Leo still up all their asses while blindfolded and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a great scene and he's like, I can teach you guys how to do this and then, you know, finally we'll be ready to go back and fight the Shredder and his army and all that. So it was a really cool scene. And I'm pretty sure they didn't end up finishing filming it. Otherwise, it should have definitely been in there. But you do see that couple seconds of them training in the field, which leads up to that scene that you described. So good description, by the way, because that was exactly what it was. So yeah, we all read the same stuff. Good for you. Very proud of you guys.
Like I said, we were trying to do, because we had to wait until it came out to VHS. So we were trying to get any bit of information that we could because it was just so painful. Like, there's a movie out, we have no way to see it. And everyone in school is saying how awesome it is.
I read that book cover to cover so many times. I took it with us on vacation that year. We went down to Virginia, and I took that book with me to read, and also like some Ninja Turtles coloring books. And actually, while we were down there, I bought a pair of nunchucks from an Army Navy store. That's how that's how into that shit I was.
Rikki, we also had a Panini sticker album of the Turtles, and the final page, you know, some of them were like a single sticker, a two sticker thing. The final page is like a big four sticker thing, and it was that part of the Turtles hanging outside the window while they were while April was trying to convince the comic book publisher guy for the Turtles thing, and he's all, oh, the idea's too far fetched and all that stuff.
Yeah, seeing that finally at the 35th anniversary screening, seeing that scene finally was quite a trip, That was really cool to see. Having only read about it, that was cool to see.
Yeah,
I love quick plug, by the way. Those gentlemen whose names escape me, but the ones who are making that behind the scenes documentary, they also interviewed me for their Turtle Power 2 documentary that's coming out eventually. That they did the Kickstarter. There's still the other stuff that you can go online and look up. But yeah, they interviewed me a few years ago for their documentary about Ninja Turtles. So I think on the disc version, on the special features, there's going to be like a whole bunch of fan perspective stuff. So I'm supposed to be all over that, they said. So, just a quick plug. You can look at their Facebook page, stuff like that. If you saw the behind the scenes for the Turtles movie at the anniversary screening, you know that their stuff is really slick and definitely worth looking forward to and checking out when it finally comes out. I was thrilled to see those deleted scenes finally. I mean, for a lot of us, that was we were told it was gone, like lost, like we'd never see it,
Yeah.
So, Johnny, and Angelina, did you guys know about the ending of the Turtles movie that we didn't get to see in theaters, like that cut scene?
No, I didn't know, and I actually didn't see it in theaters for the anniversary. I was going to, but my husband and I decided to go watch Batman, I think on Monday, the anniversary of Batman. So we decided not to watch Turtles.
I would love to see that.
Me too.
I'll say this, though. As far as this anniversary screening is concerned, now I've heard different things from different people in different areas, but I wish they would have advertised it better because I only found out about it by accident. And the screening I went to, counting my wife and I, there were 6 people in the theater. So that was disappointing. And I know a few other people have said similar, but then I've heard other people say that there was, a good crowd and everybody was all decked out and everything like that.
Yeah. Ours only had about maybe 30 or so people, not counting us. Our group of 7. Was that group of 7? Was it?
Yeah, 7 of us. Yeah.
So I guess 37 people, but we were decked out with turtle stuff. And
there was a dad. The one funny thing, like it was kind of annoying, but some of the reactions were funny. There was a dad and his like 6-year-old daughter a few rows behind us. And it was kind of annoying because she talked a lot. My wife said now a little that she wasn't annoying, but sometimes she was a little whispery, loud, whispery. But some of it was funny. Like there were certain parts where watching it now as an adult, you kind of anticipate them and you're like, oh, I wonder how this is going to play to a 5 or 6-year-old, like when the foot soldier slaps April in the face, that's something as an adult. As a kid, you actually didn't give a shit, but as an adult looking at it, you wonder how the kid 2 rows behind you is going to react to something like that. It's weird, right? We didn't care as kids, but you think about it now, you kind of overthink it. But
then seeing that scene, I still laugh.
I didn't laugh. I just thought that they're bad guys. They're bad guys for being bad.
What I loved about that scene is that she was still kind of sassy about it. She said, "Oh no, I'm still gonna fight like a New Yorker would."
Oh yeah, that April took no crap from nobody. But
I swear, that's why I liked April.
What was really funny was with this kid when we were watching it, when Casey, knocks that Raph into the trash can, runs away, and Raph starts chasing him. And then he goes, damn. The little girl was like, oh my God. Like clear as a bell. And it was nobody in the theater. So it was like all you heard. And it was perfectly timed. It was just like, oh my God.
That was my reaction. That was my reaction back then, and I was older.
The thing that kind of threw us off was they showed when they showed that Raphael was recovering in the bathtub, everyone started laughing, and I just think because it was like, but I guess they were just laughing because they just put his ass in the bathtub instead of giving him like a bed or something. But we didn't, we didn't get the joke. It was like it's a serious moment. He's in a coma, where but the crowd just started laughing at that shit. Weird. That was a weird timing.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. That is weird. I wouldn't expect that. I mean, it's not a comedic scene in the least.
And also, people were laughing at all the dated references. They were laughing when April mentioned Harrison Ford. They were laughing when Casey mentioned like Roto Rooter. They're like all the old stuff.
Yeah, and like also the thing with the group that we had, not just our group, but there are like no kids in our group in our theater like at all for that.
Yeah,
show.
All adults.
All adults. So they're laughing at those references and makes sense compared to look. You're like, what's a rotor rooter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely.
I was going to ask you though, Angelina, since you how was the Batman one? Was there people, or was it kind? Because I didn't even hear that they were doing that. Like
we will go be seeing it on Monday, so I'll let you know.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering if it's like empty or whatever. Because
seriously,
I didn't hear nothing about it.
We need to look it up and see if it's playing any in the theaters here. Because honestly, like I said, I missed out on seeing that as a kid. Me and my younger cousin, we really wanted to see that movie, but our mom would not let us see it because of the Harry Potter scene.
I did get to. Yeah. That's another one I did get to see. I was fortunate enough. That was another one. One day we could do a whole podcast about the Batman movie. We could do that.
Vicky Vale.
Okay. Man. Now another thing was that was our first when we got our VCR back then. It was a Christmas present for one of our older brothers because we actually got 4 older brothers, and it's a Christmas present. They let us borrow the ET movie so you could actually see the VCR because it's like here's a VCR. What does it do if it doesn't have a movie in it, right? You gotta play something. So they let us borrow ET. But the first legit movie we like. Yeah,
my first theatrical movie.
Yeah, the first movie we legit rented was Batman, because Batman, like about maybe 2 weeks or so later, that's when it came like released, and you couldn't even go to a store without like a whole wall of Batman videotapes, because that shit was that was crazy back then, man.
Mm-hmm. And it was and even then, ignoring that part, how long Batman was in the theater back then? It was in there for so many months.
Oh yeah. Some places it played for a year.
Yeah. Batman movie stayed in theaters for a long time. If it, if the interest is there.
It was successful enough.
Turtles wasn't as big of a phenomenon, but it had a similar vibe. It was a little bit like kind of for Batman. It was like Batman for a little bit younger crowd, kind of, because it was definitely a big deal. It didn't quite have the same mania that Batman '89 did, but it was for kids of a certain age, it was definitely as important for sure. It was for me. I remember
that is one of the shames though when you think about it, because just like you kind of mentioned earlier, like you were saying how nowadays all the turtle stuff is like more and more kiddie-ish and stuff. It's a shame that they just couldn't get out of it, because even Batman had his cartoonier stuff in the 60s, and of course Adam West show, but like you have a Batman movie and like the Turtles movie, it's mostly for kids, for better for worse. Despite the tone, it was still mostly for kids. It was still mostly parents taking kids to the movie to go see it, to shut them up or whatever. Like the Batman movie, that was like a big fucking event. That wasn't a kids movie. It was everyone go see this movie now kind of thing. Yeah. And it's a shame that the Turtles, I don't think they're ever going to break that stigma.
I mean, after the second movie, no, no.
I'll say this. I've known a lot of people who, I've known a lot of people who, for various reasons I've run into, be hanging out with, and they would have never seen the first Ninja Turtles movie. Some people never even heard of it. But I'll give you an example.
You need to hurt those people.
When I was, well, yeah, if I wanted to hurt them, I'd make them watch them in reverse order. I'm gonna watch the third one. That would hurt them. But so, no, so like once upon a time, some of my dad's friends were living with us, unfortunately, but they'd get bored and want to watch movies, and I have thousands of movies on DVD. So I'd always pick the movie because I'm like, well, they're my movies, so we're gonna watch what I want to watch. So one day I just wanted to watch Ninja Turtles, and they never even heard of it somehow. They had never heard of the whole phenomenon. They had kids, but somehow they just missed the whole Ninja Turtles thing. I don't know. So this was like 2002 or something like that. So I put it on, and they were like, okay, it sounds stupid, but whatever. And then we watched the movie, and they're getting into it, right? And they're into the emotional parts. They're like, oh my God, and this and that. And then, like, at the end of the movie, they're like, holy shit, that was a real movie. I thought it was like something like, Toxic Avenger or some nonsense like that. It was like, that was a real movie. That was good. And that's the reaction I get every time I put that movie on for somebody who hasn't seen it. A lot of times they're skeptical about the entire premise, whether or not they've seen the cartoon, any of the cartoons, doesn't matter. Whenever people see that movie for the first time, they're always so impressed by it. Once upon a time, my niece, who we don't really talk anymore, but she went through a phase where she was kind of getting into Ninja Turtles, which was cool. And this would have been like around like maybe 2008 or something like that. So she'd seen like the newer cartoons, and she watched some of the older cartoons on YouTube, but she'd never seen the movie. So I brought the movies over once. I went to visit them I brought the movies on DVD, so we watched all three of them. And when she saw the first one, she was blown away. And she was like 8 years old, and she thought that it was amazing. And second and third one, less and less impressed, but the first one definitely. I think to the point where I ended up getting them for her for Christmas that year, I think, because she was so impressed with it. So, but yeah, it's the first one at least. I think because it's so sincere, it comes from a sincere place, and it's very well crafted and made with sincerity and love and passion. It always wins people over.
Also, yes, and also just want to add on, and no parental meddling yet.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my parents were a little like, when they saw like the arm get cut and like this and that, but not really like aghast. Everybody
my parents didn't care either.
Everybody was different with that because apparently some parents cared a lot. But I mean, my parents let me watch Freddy Krueger movies. Like they weren't thrilled about it, but they knew kids are gonna find ways to watch stuff. I'd already seen blood and boobies and all that stuff by the time I was 5 and 6. So, it wasn't like they completely didn't care, but it was like, well, what are you gonna do? So I pretty much had my own discretion to watch whatever I felt like, and therefore nothing was really considered too much. So they certainly weren't going to be bothered by something like that. I think my dad actually thought it was pretty cool. Like he thought it was a cool movie. He was always willing to go along for the ride with stuff like that. But yeah, apparently a lot of parents did care because they got a lot of complaints, and that's why the second movie they didn't use their weapons at all, and everything was a lot goofier. And that's why I still say to this day that it might be a fun movie on its own. It might be a decent Ninja Turtles movie, but it's a terrible sequel to the first movie because it feels like it's a different universe. It doesn't follow up on the first one well at all, even though it's supposed to be a direct continuation. But it doesn't feel like.
Was it like months later or weeks later? It's not like the timeline isn't very sure, like between the first and second movie.
I think it was supposed to be like within a week, maybe, but they also imply within the movie it was longer. So I usually in my head say maybe a month or so, but like how was Shredder staying alive in the junkyard for a month before he dug his way out, right? It definitely is weird. Like, I mean, the second movie's not really good, let's be honest. It's fun, but it's not. Not
It was
good.
more fun as a kid though, because as a kid, the thing is, the difference, when you're a kid and when you're an adult. When I was a kid, a lot of like I felt the movie just slowed down to a crawl when he went to the farmhouse and all that stuff until it picked up when he went back to the fighting. But as an
But
adult, I
no,
understand because you're older. It's the more emotional beats, and the turtles have to recover, lick their wounds. More character development between April and Casey. They kind of go from they can't stand each other to getting along, and like all that stuff's important for the movie. I know that now, but as a kid, it just like felt slow to me. But in the second movie, everything was way more fast paced, way more comedy. Of course, the character's already there. You don't have to waste as much time to reintroduce him and all that stuff. So it was all whatever. Right, of course, we like Vanilla Ice back then, for better or for worse. Yeah, you know what I mean. But as an adult, we do see now more the point that the first one was a lot better than the second one. Yeah, go Ninja, go! Oh yeah, all that. Oh, you didn't
me,
see the sequel, did you, Angelina? The Secret of the Ooze.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you also like it, or sorta, or compared to the first one?
Just sort of. It was nothing compared to the first one, but it was still had them, so it was still okay.
I mean, I wore that tape out too. I just, like I
Yeah,
said,
I still liked it. I thought it was funny, but it wasn't it didn't compare up to the first one.
yeah, it didn't feel like a good continuation. But I did wear that tape out too. I watched it a lot, but I still wanted something that was still more in the vein of the first movie. Um, and I still feel like they probably could have gotten a lot more mileage out of that style and that tone, As far as the farmhouse stuff, watching it now, I feel like that's actually where some of the best comedy stuff in the movie happens because it's so dry. Like the stupid fight that April and Casey have. Like, I don't know. It's just it's funny to me. Because it's just they're both so stupid and irrational.
Hey,
But
Toots.
it's how people are. And it's just like it's dumb, but it also feels real. Because if you've ever like watched something like that happen in front of you, you know exactly how uh Mikey and Donnie feel in that moment. It's kind of like moonlighting, isn't it? It's like if you've ever
Mhm.
watched that happen in front of you with like family members or friends or whatever, you've seen that same thing 1,000 times. And it's like, yep, that's exactly how it is. And it's so stupid, but it's so real. So that's one of the things that makes that movie
I do
kind of,
like the camaraderie between Don and Mikey in the movie. That was also a fun thing.
oh, yeah. Yeah. They kind of had their own sort of deal going on in the background of all the scenes, I thought that was cool.